Okay, what we're going to learn now is how to composite, how to bring two or more images together to create an original composition. The first step is to make a document that is the size that we want it to be. So we're going to go to File, New, and let's just make something that is 7 inches wide by 5 inches tall. We'll make the resolution 300 and we'll go create. Now what we'll do is we'll bring in the images that we intend to use from the one that's going to be in the most background to the one that's going to be in the foreground. So first we'll start with the background images first. So we'll go to File, Place Embedded. And we want to choose one of these three backgrounds. I like this dark one, so I'm going to choose that. And you'll want to then increase the size of the image. Don't hold down the Shift button. Do not hold down the Shift button to resize. Just click on the corners to drag and resize like so. And you do want to make sure that it doesn't end up getting squished or skewed. Next, we'll go to File, Place Embedded. And we'll bring in the goat next. And again, by the way, if you do not see this ability to resize, what you can do is hit Command T or Control T. Okay, and now I'm going to go File, Place Embedded, and we have two hats to choose from. I think I might choose this hat and see what happens. We want to roughly position the hat about where it will go on the goat. And then we'll bring in the frame. So we're going to go File, Place Embedded, bring in the frame, and then hit Place. And you can tilt it if you want by hovering your cursor over the corners and waiting till your cursor turns into a little curvy arrow and then rotating it like that. Okay, so let's turn off the eyeball on the frame, turn off the eyeball on the hat. We're going to work with one thing at a time. So I'm going to make sure you click on the goat layer and make sure that is selected. We're going to go over here to the object selection tool. And this is one of the tools that's on the same button. They all are little tool roommates together. We have the object selection tool, the quick selection tool, and the magic wand tool. What we're going to do is select the object selection tool and then draw a big old rectangle around this goat. Photoshop then will find out where the edges of the goat are. And then you can, making sure that the goat layer is selected, go down here to the bottom of the layer panel and click the square with the circle inside of it. And that's the layer mask icon, which cuts things out. And you might notice that there's a little bit of an edge around the goat. You can refine the mask further by double clicking on this black and white layer mask, clicking on the Select and Mask button that pops up, going to Shift Edge, and if you drag the edge inward, you can try and get rid of a little bit of that white outline there. You can also increase the contrast a little bit. Yeah, I just want to, there we go. That ends up looking good. Some might want to feather the edge just a little bit. Yeah, so I just increase the feathering a little bit just to give it a softer edge since it is a furry animal. And now we'll click OK. So I think that looks like a much cleaner edge than what it was before. Now I'm going to click on the hat layer. And I'm going to click on the little eyeball to bring this back. We're going to see if the object selection tool does the trick for us. You want to make sure that you have the whole hat selected. Okay, so you'll notice that there are little areas here that Photoshop got confused about. We can refine this though by using the lasso tool. And then we're going to go up to the top of the screen and click the subtract from selection option, which is the dark square intersecting the slightly lighter square. Go like this. And see how I got rid of that little part there? Okay, and then there's this little part here that Photoshop maybe thought that it wasn't part of the hat. So we're going to go to the add selection and we're going to loop this. So actually we want that in there. And now we have a nice clean selection around the hat. We're going to click the square with the circle inside of it, making sure that the hat layer is selected. Then we're going to click the square with the circle inside of it. There we go. I'm going to hit the letter V on my keyboard, V by itself, not Command V, not Control V, just the letter V. And we can move that hat around. You can hover your cursor on the corner there. And by the way, I just, to zoom in and zoom out, Command minus sign, Command plus sign. Do a little of that, enter. Now I am noticing down here, it's a little bit rough. So we can double click on the black and white layer mask on the hat layer, double click on select and mask. And we can click shift edge. We can just kind of help that cut in a little bit more. And we can also help smooth things a little bit more. And I think that helps to make a nice cleaner edge. Looking good. Where do we want to bring it? I do want to hide that horn. But I kind of like the hat at a jaunty angle like that. Good. Okay, so now the frame. Same deal. I'm just going to use the object selection tool. Let's see what it gives us. Did a pretty good job. You will notice though that it didn't cut out the middle. It didn't cut out the inside and it missed this part down here. Since this is a straight edged object, the object that has straight edges only, instead of using the standard lasso tool, I'm going to use the polygon lasso tool. And first down here, I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and click the add to selection option. That's the two white squares intersecting. Start down here. I'm just going to drag a straight line across and basically just make a big old loop saying, actually, I want this whole section here included, please, in my selection. There we go. I did go a little bit over, so I can click the subtract from selection option here. And I can just smoothen out this little part. There we go. Now for the inside part, Command minus sign, I'm going to click lasso tool, subtract from selection option. Zoom in ever so slightly. And we're going to make a big old hole inside this frame here. Good. And now we're going to click the square with the circle inside of it. Excellent. We can resize this if you want. You can hit Command T. You can do a little resizing. And if you do not want to see any of the goat outside of the frame, we can go on the goat layer and you can click on the layer mask for the goat. That's the black and white shape for the goat. And then you just estimate the part of the goat that you want to cut out. I'm just using my lasso tool to do this. Then I'm going to get my brush tool out. Make sure I use a nice hard edged brush. See, I'm using a nice big brush, and now I can just paint everywhere that I paint with black on a layer mask will erase. Command D to deselect my selection, Command D. Now there's my little goat picture. And if you want to be fancy, you are more than welcome to add color adjustments and things like that. We can add an overall adjustment by going to the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other, and clicking something like hue saturation, clicking colorize, doing a little something like that if you want. And that applies to the whole picture. And you're welcome to, use something like these different blending modes, like darker color, that gives a nice look, lighten, etc. Or you can leave it on normal, and then you can hover your cursor over the line between hue saturation and the frame, hold down the option button and click, and see, now I've made the frame blue, and I can just go ahead and I can change this frame to whatever color I want, which is pretty cool. Let's make it a red frame. There you go. And then same for the hat. Let's say I wanted to change the color of the hat. I would just click on the hat layer. I would then click on the circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. Click on hue saturation. Hold down the option button and hover my cursor until I see the downward facing arrow on the line between hue saturation and the hat. Click, and now that hue saturation is only applying to the hat layer. I can click colorize, I can increase saturation, I can make this a green hat. So you can do all sorts of fun things like that to individual layers. And now I'm going to go to file. Of course, you're going to always save your native file format. You know how to do that already. You'll go file, export, save for web, and the save for web JPEG is what you'll turn in. Already have fun and reach out to your teacher if you have any questions.